The goal for a back squat is to strengthen the erector spine, the quads. The goal for a back squat is to strengthen the erector spine, the quads, and the glutes. The coaching points that I was meant to say in the video, but it's harder to hear, was the knees were caving in. His breathing was off, so he wasn't holding his breath when he was going down and then exhaling when he was going up, causing to a lack of power. His chest was also not straight up. His back was not completely straight. Since his eyes, chest, and back are all curved, that means he's going to have a less stable base, which can cause injury to the muscle groups that we are trying to look at, which would be the erector spine, quads, and glutes. His heels on the ground were stable, which is usually a big teaching point for people who are not an expert on squats. Other than that, that was fine.
Things that he did wrong for that squat is that he was holding the bar too close, and which is really bad for obviously actually stabilizing himself. So if he's really close like this, you're not gonna be able to branch out and get as much and be as stable. Also, when he was going down, his knees caved in, meaning that if his knees caved in, that's really prone to injury, since you're not meant to pronate your knees while you're squatting, and you can easily hurt your ligaments on the inside and also hurt your meniscus. Also, the third thing they did wrong was that he was leaning forward when he squats. If you lean forward, you're also way more prone to injury, and you're going to get back problems, and it's going to hurt your spine. I'll pause it here. Okay, I'm now going to demonstrate how to do the squat properly. As you can see, my hands are equal length apart. I'm going to get underneath the bar and put it on my back so it's firm and secure in between my traps and my shoulders. And I walk out with only 2 steps, feet shoulder width apart and pointing out to give more stability. When I go down, I need to tense my core and tense my whole back as well. Breathe. Hold it and explode up. Now for a regression movement for that, you just do a regular bodyweight squat. And a regular bodyweight squat is quite easy. It's literally just holding hands like this, making sure they're either in line or pointing outwards. Never want to point inwards because that's just going to ruin your squat form. So I usually prefer pointing outwards, although most people do in line. Squat down. Make sure my back's straight, so you can see in the camera. Back straight when I squat down. Go up. Go just below 90 degrees. Up. And a progression movement is a box squat. Now for the progression exercise for the barbell back squat, it is a box squat. And a box squat is meant for increasing your power, because it's a shorter range of movement and it's an explosive movement compared to the barbell squat, which is a more just tamer movement, where it's just down and up, no actual power aspect to it. So, to demonstrate a box squat, same as a barbell squat. I don't hit it that side, but when you hit the seat, you have to explode up like that. It's the same as a regular squat, back to back.
The goal for the deadlift, as I was meant to explain in the video, is to strengthen the erector spine, hamstrings, and glutes. The coaching points is keeping a straight back as to reduce injury risk and also strengthen overall deadlift performance. The second coaching point, which my participants performed, would be keeping chest, eyes, and back, I've already talked about that, chest and eyes up when they're doing the deadlift, so they're not hunched over, which would help them stabilize and also reduce risk of injury as they won't fall over the bar. And the third coaching point that I have is not to bend their arms before they pick up the deadlift, as that increases injury risk to biceps and also their back, as they're already preparing to load all of that into their back, so they shouldn't be trying to pull with their biceps straight away, as that can lead to injuries such as bicep tears, pulls, strains, etc.
See that there was multiple faults. The first one being that his bar path was not straight, and he went around first and didn't go straight up, like have a straight up movement. So his bar path went around his knees instead of straight up along his shins. And when he was doing the deadlift, his back was rounded, which is not what you want to do, because you want to lock in your back first, and so that you're always stable. If you have a rounded back, you're way more injury prone, because obviously you're using, you're not using your back muscles correctly, and you're relying entirely on your spine to lift up the weight, which is not great, considering that your spine is a lot less strong than your back. Also, another thing that he didn't do right was locking out at the end of his deadlift. So locking out really gets like that extra a bit of muscle towards the backs and around the hips, and like your lower back and towards the ribs, which obviously he did wrong. Was obviously, as a deadlift, you're meant to have your arms completely straight, so you're hanging. So when you're meant to be pulling the weight from a standstill position. If you push like this, you're not actually using your back to the full effect, and you have a way to injure your biceps there, since your biceps are taking load that should not be taking, and it's more mainly, and then when we transfer, all the weight we transfer to your biceps instead of your lower back, your glutes and your hamstrings, as well as your spine. You can also variate the deadlift by doing a sumo, which focuses more on your back, not really, and focus on your spine as well, but less on your hamstrings, but more focused on your glutes as well. So, as a demonstration, you can see some of the close-ups. You can see that my hands are about knee width apart, because you're meant to be, when you hold the bar, pretending that you're bending it towards you, so that you get locked into position. When you get locked into position, you see my back is straight. When you look from the back angle, you see it's straight, and my chest is up. And then when I push the bar along my shins and up. I'm gonna go back down, same bar path. So up, like that. Progression exercise for barbell deadlift is a kettlebell swing. I will now demonstrate how to do a kettlebell swing properly. As you see, I hold it perfectly in between my shoulders. I bend down a little bit. I go swing and then up. While maintaining the correct posture the entire time, so letting my back bend and keeping everything in a solid movement. Aside for a barbell deadlift, there's paused barbell deadlifts. So it's the exact same as a normal barbell deadlift. When you pick it up, you bring it up to your knee height, and then pause and then explode like that. So I'll show you one in Now, to make this exercise harder in the long run, you do for a longer pause, as well as the kettlebell barbell swing. You'd obviously just have to up the weight for that, because there's not much other variations you can do for that.
The goal for the forward lunge, as I was meant to explain in my video, is to increase quad strength, hamstrings and glutes, as well as stabilizing muscles, which will help performance in athletic sports, such as mainly jumping sports, such as volleyball and basketball. The coaching points that I have for a lunge is obviously to keep your eyes and your whole torso straight when you're performing the lunge. The second one is making sure to keep a linear path, so not letting the knees go off the line that you're doing your lunge on. And the third coaching point is to make sure that the knees aren't collapsing and you're not also touching your knee on the ground, because that will lose that little bit of tension that you have at the bottom of the lunge, leaving this lunge to be less optimal for increasing muscle growth.
Okay. Exercise that he did right there was a lot of things. The main thing that was the problem was that his legs were obviously not on a linear line when he was doing it. As you see, his legs were pointing outwards. one leg was pointing outwards this way, one leg pointing outwards that way. When you do it, you want to keep a straight linear line like this. Like, trying to get as wide as the thing you can, as wide as the side you can, without your knee touching the ground, which is also a fault that he did in this exercise. He also did not keep his chest up while he was performing the exercise, and he was looking at the ground, which is not good for stabilization, which can also lead to injuries of the hamstring and your knee. For the third exercise is lunges, and obviously I'm doing weighted lunges as it's the harder variation. So when doing a regular lunge, you want to keep all your core and balance upright when you do it. And you want to do it opposite leg, opposite hand, as to counterbalance yourself when you're doing it. So when you do a lunge, you want to always look forward, lunge down to 90 degrees, don't let your knee touch the ground, swap hands, you swap the legs. Keep your legs in a sort of linear line when you're doing it. Not crossing over and not going too wide. Okay. So the regression exercise for a weighted lunge is a backward lunge. So that is, or the reverse lunge, is where you stand still and you lunge backwards like this. This helps develop your stabilizing muscles that you need for your regular lunge, and will also increase your hamstrings and your quads. I'm also helping your core strength as well. An exercise, we're going to do a barbell lunge, which is a bit harder than doing it with the kettlebell and having to counterweight it. But it's easier in terms of stabilization, but harder in terms of weight that you can do. It's just a regular lunge, except this time you're doing it with a barbell. So really focus on keeping your core tight and upright when you perform it.